How's it going, everybody? The Shadow King event is now live. I've been getting asked by a lot of new players if I could redo the Shadow King guide because there's a lot of new options that make a whole lot more sense in August of 2025. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we do that, I just want to talk about the value of Shadow King. Is he worth pushing that max stars for? And in short, absolutely. He is the third best legendary, I guess. Right now, I would still give the edge to Old Man Logan. Then it's going to be Quasar, and then it's going to be Shadow King. And Shadow King and Quasar, they're really close. So what does Shadow King bring? Shadow King brings a lot of plug-and-play power. He's got the out-of-turn bonus damage whenever an ally uses his ultimate. He's got devastating debuff decay on his ultimate for his entire team. That doesn't even talk about his special, doing ability block, buff strips, lots and lots of damage. He cannot be stunned. He cannot gain trauma because of that possession. He is an amazing plug-and-play character. And if you are so inclined to get that Awaken ability from the store, he can stop immunity on spawn to the enemies, which makes him an absolutely super annoying war defense plug-and-play character to stop characters that maybe they're trying to use a Quasar to give an immunity. Maybe they're trying to use Vigilante, and if you go in there with your Shadow King with the Awakened, it's going to stop them from getting immunity, and all of a sudden Mephisto is beating these Vigilante characters. So there's a lot of value in Shadow King, so he's definitely still worth the pickup. So let's talk about what we need to do. So heading on back into game, you can see I am currently hovering difficulty 15. This is what we're going to need to do in order to max these milestones. I already have done this, but if you're unaware, the max score you need for the milestones is going to be 1.374 million. Now, this does require, and it is going to get us the 7-star token for Shadow King, which is good. It's going to save us a little bit of gold and training materials as well. We're going to do difficulty 15 to get that score, okay? And we're going to need to equip a lot of packs, but we're going to be equipping a lot of packs, even some difficult packs, to cut down the nodes we're going to do. This is going to make it a lot easier for us. In fact, with the packs I'm going to talk about, you're only going to do 7 out of 10 nodes, skipping the very difficult second Brawler node. I say very difficult. With a new character, it's not super difficult, but it's still better to skip it, as well as that final Odin node, which is not hard, but why do more nodes than we have to do? Especially for you new players who may not have extra mercs to throw alongside Old Man Logan as a sacrifice for him to do his thing. Anyway, let's jump into it. We're going to start with Dark Resolve. Magneto was right. Resistance is futile. Together strong. Unkillable. Villainous momentum. Are you not entertained? Cosmic Rays. Dark Rally, Devour, Forged in Fire, Weakened. We are not using any of the experimental serums. We are not going to use Too Clever. Undead Swarms, When It Rains, and Rope-a-Dopes. That's right, guys. We're equipping every single pack except the health packs and not Too Clever. So we're not going to get any ability block when we do our specials. Now, for the purpose of this video, because my characters are so damn big, I don't want you guys to think you need to have your characters at 105 with a bunch of gear tier 20s in there and 3 diamonds and all that. I'm going to equip the health serums just to make this more difficult, make the enemies live a little bit longer. For me, that is not something you have to do. So again, all packs except any of the experimental serums and Too Clever. Let's go ahead and let's start the show. Alright, so starting with node 1, the non-restricted node, we want to make sure we are not crossing characters off that we're going to need, particularly on the Brawler node, and I guess the Illuminati node. Those are going to be the 2 nodes that we really need to make sure our cooldowns are in order and set up. So let's go ahead in here to the non-restricted section. Let's talk about the best sort of characters to use, and one particular cheat code character that we're going to be using to make this a lot easier on ourselves. Nightcrawler. The problem with Nightcrawler is he's kind of getting phased out, right? We're going to be getting the new mutant team, the Hellfire Club. So Nightcrawler no longer part of that Extreme Raid team. However, Nightcrawler, even though he's an old stack character, seems like he's going to have a lot of value. Just his kit going forward, starting with speed up on spawn, having a turn 1 stun, but more importantly, giving speed bar to the highest damaged ally or anyone who's an X-Men. A lot of value there. See, we're going to be prepping Nightcrawler. We want to get his ultimate ready, and we don't want to really use any other cooldowns. So, besides the Nightcrawler, we want to avoid any Brawler characters. I want to avoid any Illuminati characters, and I want to maybe avoid some global villains. So, if you have access to like a Mephisto or an Odin, go ahead and throw them in. I'm going to assume you don't, and so I'm going to craft a team that does not have those characters. And it might be a little tricky, but will it really be? Because we also have access to Starjammers, we have Crucible rules turned on, we have access to Fantastic Four because we have Arena rules turned on, so we have lots of different options here. For what it's worth, I'm going to assume if you're trying to max out Shadow King, you've been playing since Starjammers were released. So I'm going to go ahead and throw Starjammers at this problem, and I'm going to make sure I grab the one, the only Groot to go along here. So we're going to use Nightcrawler with the Starjammer team. Let's get into it. All right, so as the match starts, I don't want to use my cooldowns on Nightcrawler, but every other character, we're ready to just let it go, okay? So we're going to use our special on Havoc to get lots of damage out there. And the biggest threat on this snow, just in case you are unaware, is going to be the final wave where we're going to see a Blade and we're going to see an Oath. And we want to make sure that they don't get to take a turn. Let's just go ahead and we'll use the basic over here on the Moon Knight. And the Landra, I do think I'm going to save that ultimate for now. We're just going to do the special here. All right, let's get a bunch of buffs going. Groot's going to do a great job protecting our Nightcrawler. We don't want Nightcrawler to take any damage whatsoever here, preferably. But if he's got to take a couple hits, he's got to take a couple hits. We'll throw this ultimate now. All right, Landra did a great job there. Hopefully you guys do have her at least 7 red stars if you were playing when she was having her free-to-play event release. I would think that was great. I'm just going to use the basic here. Let's get a little bit of spread damage going. We'll use a special from Howard the Duck. If you can make your Howard the Duck a striker for this, you're going to be able to benefit from a lot more offense ups from his ISO attack. Could be very helpful. You can go for the Colleen, and we're about to summon in that next wave, and this next wave is where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. What if we don't have Howard the Duck? I mean, if we don't have Howard the Duck, we probably just don't want to use Starjammers at that point. There's probably other characters that we could use. You could use your Cabal characters for this. I think that's what we were doing when the event first came around. Obviously, you built your Cabal for Old Man Logan. But if you're going to be relying on some of your Cabal characters in the Global Villain section, or in the Brawler section with Namor, you want to be careful with your cooldowns, okay? So here we go. I'm going to go for this Blade first. He's kind of the biggest danger to us. Make sure you don't put slow on him or offense down, because obviously he can flip that. We'll go for the special here. It's going to call an assist in, and we're getting an extra hit as well. And what we definitely don't want to do is we definitely do not want to be using any Nightcrawler abilities here. And hopefully we're not going to be taking too much damage. So Blade was our main kill target, because once he's dead, we can put slow, we can put offense down on the other characters, particularly the Night Stalker characters. Because once again, we want to take as little damage as possible here. We'll just keep going. Even though she already took a turn, it's fine. We're going to keep going for her. We're just keeping an eye on our Nightcrawler, making sure he's nice and healthy. Hopefully you have an easier time doing this, and you could just use a Mephisto here. Really clears this up just by being able to ult this final wave. There we go. That's going to be the first life off of the hand sentry. Let's go take him out. And we got another special from Havoc. We're not going to be able to use him later on, so let's just get as much use from him as possible. There she goes. Fantastic. Nobu could be the next villain. Victim. Alright, Mr. Daredevil. Any of these characters take in turn difficulty 15, even if you have, like my Nightcrawler's level 105, gear tier 19, any kind of hits you take from these characters can be absolutely devastating. So by leaning into new stat characters to kind of carry Nightcrawler through the finish line is definitely the right move. And once again, make this a lot easier on yourself, guys. If you got Mephisto, if you got Odin, use them for sure. I'm actually not going to be using Super Skrull in this event either, so you want to use Super Skrull here. You can make this a lot easier on yourself. Just get that Nightcrawler prepped, all right? Heading into node number 2, this is going to be your Illuminati node. Now, there's no other way around this, guys. Difficulty 15 is no joke. It is hard. Me having the extra health packs on is actually going to be crazy difficult. I could definitely wipe here. And there's no other way around this. You're going to need to build at least the 3 new characters to level 105, get some gear tier 19 on them. That's your Captain Britain, your Black Panther Shuri, and your Hank Pym. And if you do those 3, you can kind of cheap out on the Mr. Fantastic, the old Mr. Fantastic, obviously, and on the Black Bolt. We will be using Black Bolt here. But you can't cheap out too much. It's a really rough fight. Now, the good news is the Illuminati team is still, I would consider, they're still a top 6, maybe top 7 Crucible team overall, whether you put in them on offense or defense. There's a lot of good use there. There's lots of interesting mechanics. They just really chocked full this team, right? So the Illuminati is not a waste of a build. You can definitely use them in war. They're great in these flash modes like Sword, Satellite, and Tower. So you're going to get benefit from building this team up. And then it helps you get Shadow King on the other side. So it's definitely worth it. It's just kind of rough. Now, because we are only doing 7 nodes, we do not need to leave this node with our characters alive. Okay, we just need to beat the node. So remember that. If you lose 2 characters along the way, but you could beat the node using this guy, that's fine. Just leave it the way it is, okay? So, I will be using Mr. Fantastic here. Truth be told, Iron Man is a much better character for this mode. So if you only care about getting through this mode, build Iron Man over Black Bolt. But if you want to get some more use out of this team when it comes to Crucible and you're not going to be just using the 3 new characters, Black Bolt will actually be the default 4th character. So use that information how you will. But yeah, Iron Man is definitely better for this game mode. I'm just not going to force him in for the purposes of this video creation, okay? All right, here we go. So this node, incredibly difficult. The first wave is all about control, and to beat this wave, it's all about the final wave. It's all about making sure your Black Panther Shuri has that ultimate ready to go with her charges up, and she just deletes the Iron Patriot and the Green Goblin, or at the very least takes the charges off and ruins their day. So what you want to do is you want to tag the Kraven the Hunter in the back left. If you tap over the Spider Slayer shoulder, you can go ahead and get a good ability block on him. All these characters having offense up is absolutely devastatingly dangerous. We're then going to put a slow out there, so we're going to use the ultimate from Hank Pym. Good slow. We're then going to use Captain Britain stun on the lizards. Let's stun our reptilian friend over here. And then finally, Mr. Fantastic will use his stun on the Kraven in the back left middle. So we're controlling the Kravens. If we don't control the Kravens, it gets really ugly really fast. We're going to use the stun there. Now what we want to do is we want to control the speed at which we're going through this wave. We want to definitely make sure that Leader is not in the conversation when we get to the later waves. So I'm going to start tunneling him out, but he will go into stealth pretty quickly here. I will use one Shuri ultimate, is that it's only a 5 cooldown. We will be able to get that back. Let's make sure we hit center mass. We get as many ability blocks out there as possible. That's good. And now we're back onto this Leader, who you can see just gets barrier on barrier on barrier. An incredibly annoying character. We don't want his charges to get too out of control. We want to make sure that we're taking him out. All right, let's go for the stun. Good stuff. So now he's not going to be doing a counterattack. He's not going to be putting himself into stealth. Captain Britain got a lot of good pings there. Now my Captain Britain is giant. You're probably going to have a smaller Captain Britain. So don't rely on that much damage coming out, even though I did give him 70% more life. The anti-barrier from Mr. Fantastic is why we definitely take him over Iron Man in this situation. Also, the assists are cracked. And then Leader is going to be dropping. And after Leader's gone, we're going to turn our attention to those Kravens. We controlled them in the beginning for a reason. We got to get back to controlling them. Should be a good slow from the Black Panther Shuri basic, although it looks like none of the slows landed, unfortunately. So we may be walking into trouble here. There's the ultimate. These guys are going to do a lot of damage. All right, Captain Britain, he's going to get us some good buffs here. And that's going to take care of one of the Kravens, but unfortunately it's the other Kraven that hadn't taken a turn yet. So a little bit poor targeting on my part, or at least bad coin flip luck. But he had the ability luck, so we're okay. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure I don't die here. This is tough. This one's tough. We're going to try and go for the Kraven again. You notice I did not ping the right character. He's kind of hidden back there. Make sure you're targeting the Kraven. These offense up are absolutely deadly. Let's look for ability that can't be counterattacked if possible. Counterattacks break this chain, so that's no good. We're going to get hit. So let's avoid hitting that Kraven for a second here. He can't get any debuffs anyway. And we'll get back on that Kraven. You can see this is a very, very tough match when you're punching up. This extra life I've chosen to give the enemies is really problematic. The assists are doing their job, though. And our ISO and striker setup is also very important. We want to make sure we're getting as many triple taps as possible. This defense down is terrifying. Lizard's going to ult here in a little bit. No, I can't ability block him because he's got the immunity. The packs that we put on are giving them just buffs on buffs on buffs. But the triple tap should do it here. There we go. I'll then go for the Abomination. We're going to get that next wave spawned in. There's going to be a Red Hulk. There's going to be a Namor. We want to control both of those. We don't want to get turn meter rebound from either of them. That would be really bad. Don't really want Slayer to take a turn either. He's going to be using his basic at this point, though, so it's not the end of the world. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to be stunning the Red Hulk. Obviously, every time we hit Red Hulk, if you're unaware... Actually, it's not obvious because he's an older character now. Every time you hit him, he gets a charge. At 5 charges, he gets speed bar, he ults us, and that's death for us in this particular game mode. All right, these guys actually do a lot of damage. These rhinos hit incredibly hard. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to do the basic. It is going to get us counterattacked, but it's also going to give them slow. All right, so let's go ahead and get the slow over here. Give us a little bit of protection so we can try and get these defense downs off ourselves. Now, we have no vulnerables, so Namor can't rewind us. That's important. I still want to go for him, though. Because if Namor drops in with the Iron Patriot, rather, if the Iron Patriot drops in with a Namor, we're going to be in big trouble. So there goes the Namor. That's good. You see, we got 1 charge up on this Red Hulk. Let's try and fix that. No, we're actually going to wait on that. If I kill more people, it's going to summon in the Goblin, which is not a terrible thing right now. So let's go for that. It's all about how we drop this final wave in this snow. Now, this has already been an 8-minute fight, so you know I'm being super serious when it comes to it. We're going to have to eat some Rhino damage here. We have the Safeguard up, which is good. This Goblin's going to be a problem, but so is this Red Hulk. Black Panther Shuri should be going. She should have her ultimate back up by now. If not, she'll have her special available. You notice I have not used her special. She's got her ultimate. She's got 5 charges. This is exactly how you want to enter this node. Because if these Iron Patriots take a turn, this Goblin takes a turn, it gets really ugly. But once again, guys, you do not need to exit this node healthy. You just need to just barely get through it. And if you barely get through it, you're going to be in a good spot. Which looks like that's exactly what's about to happen to us, because these guys are about to go crazy. Can we get ahead of this Green Goblin? Looks like we may be able to get ahead of this Green Goblin. We got to be careful giving this Red Hulk too many charges, though. That should be it for the Gobs. All right, so we're good. We got through it on the first attempt. This was scary. You guys saw how hard they hit. How much life they have because of these extra packs. They're going to be squishier for you, but you're still going to need to build up your Illuminati team pretty big. So it's a sacrifice. I do think it's worth it for Shadow King. I do think the Illuminati team is still really good in Crucible. And this would be the 5 if we're going to be using the cookie cutter version in Crucible, in my opinion. Next up is going to be the Global Villain section. Now, the Global Villain section is not hard. Especially if you have a character like Apocalypse, it's going to make it much easier for you. Now, if you have your Orcus characters built up, because they are the current tech grade team, they're also going to walk over this. What I will say, though, is try and avoid using Lady Deathstrike's special. At the very least, try and avoid using her special. Now, if you haven't yet built Orcus, I know that there's a new raid coming. They're definitely going to be the team that gets replaced first. Well, I guess Mutants technically getting replaced first. They'll be the raid team that gets replaced next because they are the second oldest raid team. So if you don't want to build Orcus, you have some options. Omega Red, Phoenix Force being a Crucible character, he's an option for you for sure. We have Madeline Pryor and Emma Frost, part of the new Hellfire Club. The other Hellfire members will also slot in here. They'll definitely be able to get through this mode because of their new stats. Might be a little bit rough, but you'll definitely be able to get through it. Otherwise, we have the Cabal members that we can lead into as well. We got Namor, we got Iron Patriot, we can even bring in Leader. Like I was saying earlier, we had to build these guys up when it came to the Old Man Logan trial. So let's double dip, let's get that benefit from them, and I'll actually bring Apocalypse. You don't need Apocalypse super big for this. Mine's level 105, gear tier 19. You don't need to have him that big for sure, right? We're not going to hold anything back here. It used to be we use Namor in the Brawler section. The Brawler section has evolved so much in the past 6 months that we don't need to rely on Namor to get us our Shadow King max anymore, especially because we're not doing the second Brawler node. So don't hold anything back here, because we could use different characters on the next Global Villain node, but also our leader can get us extra cooldowns on his ultimate. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll use my Apocalypse ult here. We'll stun over there. I guess we'll start taking out these Cosmic Ghost Riders before they get us too much barrier against us. All right. You know what? There's not enough enemies here for me to use the Namor ultimate. I didn't really feel that was worth it. The Black Knights here, I know everyone's familiar with how crazy powerful Black Knight is. These versions of Black Knights are a kind of toned down version. They don't have defense up on spawns. So they don't get that resist. So it should be a little bit easier to get through them. Now, I will not get any rewinds here because I don't have the vulnerables, but I'm still going to do it just for the damage it's going to provide. And because I know Leader is about to ult and give me a bunch of energy back. Let's make sure we take down this Black Knight. Good stuff. We can throw the ultimate from Iron Patriot. And then it's going to be the ultimate from Leader. I guess Apocalypse still has that speed up, so he's trying to go super fast. There we go. That's going to give me a bunch of energy, so I'm ready for the next Global Villain section. And with just these 3 characters left, start relaxing a little bit on your cooldowns. We'll just kind of hang out here. Emma is such a great new rework character for new players. I'm really kind of happy they picked her. Although, I know that the developers, they loathe her speed stat loss, so it's kind of surprising they picked her. But there you go, guys. That's going to be your Global Villain section. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy, nothing to worry about there. Let's head on over to the Brawler section. You guys are so much luckier than the OGs were when we first had to unlock Shadow King. The Brawler section used to be incredibly challenging, incredibly difficult. It is very dumbed down now because of the characters at your disposal. Let's talk about some of the best characters to be bringing here. In fact, I think there is actually a 5-man team that is the best here. Obviously, we're going to be bringing our Nightcrawler because we prepared him. We want Blade, turn meter around, big damage. You built him up for your Mystic Raid team. Lady Deathstrike, and if you don't build Orcus, guys, Lady Deathstrike at 127 speed stat with incredible damage and a turn 1 turn meter rewind on multiple enemies. Very, very powerful characters. That's going to be our core 3. I'm going to use Endgame Thanos. We're going to have to use him later, so we got to be a little bit careful when it comes to cooldown management for him, but we're going to get a lot of energy flying around with this team. And last but not least, we're going to bring Quasar. That's right, the last legendary character. He is a Brawler, and he's going to be an absolute wrecking crew for us. This Brawler team is going to be fantastic. But the enemies have a lot of resistance. So let's go ahead and let's stack the deck in our favor. Let's make sure we have Skirmisher on our Nightcrawler so that he helps land that exposed, land those slows, get those buff flips. The rest of the characters we can kind of keep as is, but if you want to make it even easier for yourself, Skirmisher your endgame Thanos as well. That'll be very helpful. This is what it all came down to, guys. This is the reason why Nightcrawler is the only character you need to prepare for. By prepping the Nightcrawler ultimate, we are going to be able to completely erase the enemy opening bots. We're going to be able to put slow on everybody, and we're going to get to go crazy. There is another character that can do this for you before any of your characters go well. Before anybody but Quasar goes, if you don't want to build Nightcrawler because you don't want to build an old raid tuner, you don't see the same sort of plug-and-play value I'm seeing here. And that character is Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman would be another fantastic addition to this team as a Brawler with her crazy stats. She could easily replace Nightcrawler here. She could erase all the buffs. She's not going to group anybody together because it's a full field. But she would erase the buffs. She would put defense down on everybody, and you would be able to walk over this team like crazy, this node like crazy. The only reason I'm not going to bring her here is because she's a new character, and if I bring in my 6-star Invisible Woman, the comment section will lose their minds. But if you got Invisible Woman, you built her up, maybe you got her geared to 20, use her here, and then you don't even need to prepare. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's use the ultimate. See, it's going to get rid of all those taunts, which is fantastic. And then I'll turn my attention to this Lady Deathstrike in the bottom right corner. Let's get her taken care of. Quasar goes crazy. Quasar's damage is nuts. And then I want to turn meter rewind the Sentinel as much as possible. So I'm going to use Blade Ultimate targeting the real Sentry. Notice there's going to be some Sentries that have lower collection power, if you will. Those are the summons. Avoid hitting those. We're going to hit a real sentry. Make sure it's pinging another sentry because Blade does have a turn meter rewind portion of his ultimate. He will do a double turn meter rewind to his primary target, so make sure you're spreading that out as much as possible. All right, here we go. And then Lady Deathstrike is going to do a turn meter rewind on the other group of Sentinels because there is 4 real Sentinels total, and I want to make sure we hit them as much as possible. So I'm going to target the Sentinel in the back right. That's going to make sure I get 2 rewinds on both the Sentinels, and also we slap down that Silver Samurai, so that's great. And now the Omega Sentinel pops up. This was the biggest threat when we played this before. This is the Resist Queen. She loves resisting exposed. She loves resisting stuns, but she did not do it this time. So there you go. And now the goal of this node is just to kind of spread out stuns, spread out expose, hit into the exposed as much as possible. And you can see that even though I have Skirmisher Nightcrawler, he got resisted there because the defense up on that Sentinel. But that's all we're going to do. We're just going to go crazy, hitting to expose, take out these Sentinels, and we don't need to save any cooldowns from these characters except endgame Thanos, so make sure you go into the Annihilator node with, at the very, very least, we want to have his ultimate up. At the very, very least. His special could be 1 or 2 turns away, but we want that ultimate up. Alright, let's go ahead and erase a couple of these Sentinels. Quasar is such an absolute monster. Hopefully you guys got some good rewards from the last event when it comes to his awakening abilities and all that kind of stuff. All right, we have 8 minutes left. 8 enemies left. I'm going to use the stun one more time because, again, every time we hit into expose, we're going to get energy on some random characters. So it's pretty safe to do so. There goes the Omega Red. We'll just use our Nightcrawler basic here. There goes the Sentinel. He's going to bleed out there, or Blade hit. Blade, absolute MVP of the section for sure. That is unfortunately going to be a cleanse, so I did not hit the damage check here, probably because I have so much of those health modifiers on. So there is going to be a cleanse there for anybody that does not have a trauma. And so we're a little bit behind now, and this Sentinel, she does have a revive chance. We got lucky. She didn't revive. That was actually a really sore spot when we did this event the first time around, was how much she could revive. But like I said, 6 enemies left, guys. There is no reason to hold back on anybody except for endgame Thanos. We are not going to be doing another Brawler node, so just go crazy. Get your energy. Obviously not on endgame Thanos. That's going to be it for one Nimrod. Well, let's go for the next. All right. Oh, there goes Sentinel with another ability. These can be absolutely game-breaking. Like, if this Lady Deathstrike was geared to 20, that was one-shotting us back in the day. Now, again, as long as endgame Thanos walks through this node healthy with his cooldowns up, you could leave it. You don't need to have your other Brawler characters alive. Lady Deathstrike being alive would be benefit if you're relying on her for that global villain section, though. Because we do have to do that node again. All right, that's going to be it for the Nimrod here. And there goes Sabretooth. And last but not least, that last Sentinel goes down. Good stuff. Let's head on over to the Mercs node. All right, and that'll bring us to the Mercenary Undying node. Now, this is going to be the node that is going to be the hardest to stomach building. Fortunately, there have been some reworks and a new team that makes it a little bit easier. So, Old Man Logan is still king of this node. Silver Sable from the Vigilance team and Taskmaster from the Thunderbolts team. Obviously, we need them for raid teams anyway, so feel free to build them up at the very least. And then it's kind of dealer's choice. I kind of like the idea of Dawkin and Pandapool because that is a 3-piece team that's going to be great in war for probably at least another year to come. Alternatively, you could use some Undying characters. Again, it's going to be another war team, but they're going to be revitalized yet again when Zombie Kestrel comes out in October. So that's probably the longer-term investment if you want to build it, but Old Man Logan is still key in this. So let's go ahead and let's jump in there and just make sure you don't let yourself perma-die to the Weaver abilities or to the Deathpool abilities or to the Kestrel ultimate. Otherwise, you may have to start your run over like this. As soon as we can get through this Weaver, oh, it's a perma-kill. Oh, shit! Alright, so the big thing to keep an eye out for here is just don't have Old Man Logan die. If Old Man Logan doesn't die and he gets that ball rolling and he's able to get rid of the Weaver before she just keeps kind of getting those charges over and over and over again, then you're going to be in good luck. Now, unfortunately, we are going to be stuck hitting into her which means she's going to get speed bar, which means she's going to get those initial charges up. She went for OML Logan, which is actually great because we had the immunity, so we're not going to get stunned. We're not going to get all those kind of nasty debuffs. And now we're just going to spam basics. We don't really have unavoidable attacks besides Taskmaster Ultimate, and even then we don't really want to do it. We just want to make sure we blow through these charges and we snipe her out as soon as we can. So she's now down to 2 charges. This brings her down to 1. She will reapply and get 1 more charge along the way. Alright, so unfortunately, Old Man Logan's going to take its turn while she still has 1 charge left. That's okay, though. Cool thing is, of course, Panda Pool will come back a bunch as long as he doesn't permadie here. Which, unfortunately... Oh, he's okay. He's okay. He can still come back to that. It's only Kestrel Ultimate that is a permakill. Again, unfortunately, we got 1 more charge. We're going to use the basic because that does give us more speed bar. And now let's get our taunt up on Panda Pool. Get some energy to Old Man Logan. Cleanse him of all that nonsense. And we'll turn our attention to this Weaver. We go all in on the Weaver, and away we go. So from this point on, it really just is the Old Man Logan show. And as soon as Weaver drops and Kestrel drops, then we have those permakills that are no longer being a threat. And the node just completely melts. Fanfaster says, I cleared this node every event with 80k Panda and Dakin, just Old Man Logan show. It is absolutely the Old Man Logan show. As long as your Old Man Logan is nice and big, you'll be able to get through this. You can see I even have it on autoplay. There's not much targeting I'm doing in here. I'm really just making sure any sort of permakill targets, I'm going for them first. Eventually, Old Man Logan, he gets that speed bar rolling and he just never stops. We don't need to worry about saving any cooldowns for these characters. We're not going to be doing any future nodes with them. Node number 60, Annihilator node, is actually pretty tricky with all the revives that could happen with the Mercs. You saw just firsthand a second ago how the Mercs revives can be really annoying. Now with our Annihilator team, it's going to be okay. We do have permakills in Gorr. We got a lot of damage that we can kind of hang our head on, and it's not so bad. Now, I actually had to redo my run, so my endgame Thanos does not have ult up to start this off. It does have special, which is fine. We'll make it work. The unfortunate news is this actually used to be the easiest to justify building. The Annihilators, it made so much sense. They were the arena team. Ultimates had great plug-and-play value. Silver Surfer, he could see some plug-and-play value too. That's not so much the case anymore. So if you really just want to get by on endgame Thanos, Gorr, and Gladiator, you absolutely can. Obviously, you can't have the health packs turned on like I'm going to have here, but you're probably going to have to wait until you have them built up to 105, gear tier 19, like the whole shebang, because they'll do way more than enough damage to get through the section. But they're going to need to be built up all the way if you want to avoid building Ultimus and Silver Surfer, which I do think is the right move now. I think the right move is to probably avoid Ultimus and Silver Surfer as a new player coming up. So the first thing we want to do here, if you have Ultimus built up, if you don't, you're going to play it a little differently. We're going to use the basic from Gorr onto that Sasquatch, then we're going to use the Ultimate. This... one purpose. Drop that Sasquatch below 70% life, get the taunt off him, and then Ultimus does that job. Surfer, after that, we're going to use this special on the second Sasquatch. That's going to put a disrupt on him, so he's not going to regain that taunt. And then this is where you will have your ultimate up, because we talked about this earlier, right? And you're going to be able to get through that ultimate and get to the Panda Pools, because they are our main kill target. We do not want these Panda Pools to be alive when the Old Man Logan and the Dead Pools start inevitably dropping in. I'm going to use the special here because I have to. It's going to give me a nice expose. We'll start hitting to that, getting some energy going. But you're going to see how hard these pandas hit here. Especially if they are allowed to do their ultimates. Now, they sat through the ability block, which is great. But they're going to clear their debuffs the second we drop them below 50. And then they gain a taunt. This is where we have to kill them as soon as possible. So let's get those death proofs off with the Silver Surfer ultimate. And now it is go time. If we can get perma kills on these pandas, let's go for that. Basic from Gorr does put defense down. Follow-up attack gets it done. And no revive there, so we're good. I'm just going to use the basic from in-game Thanos. Lots of damage, but he's going to clear everything. And hopefully we get an ability block. We did get the ability block, so he's not getting hit with ultimate. Also, he could bleed out here. Hopefully he'll bleed out here. He did bleed out. So this is kind of like the perfect storm, the way things go. So you want to get rid of those Sasquatch taunts, get on those panda pools, thread the needle so that they keep their ability block while they're above 50% life, and as soon as their turn is over and their turn meter's back down to 0, push them and kill them as soon as humanly possible. All right, and after that, we'll start working on these Alpha Flight members until we see the Old Man Logan drop in, which should be any second now. See that Wolverine absolutely tore me a new one. Just use a special here, get some buff flips. There goes Sasquatch, that's good. Yeah, we can throw the ultimate here, hopefully get some kills. We don't need to do any other Brawler notes. We don't need to save any endgame Thanos abilities here. We can just let everything ride. And there's that Old Man Logan, so let's get to him as soon as possible. I am worried a little bit about this North Star. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to deviate, try and get that North Star taken care of. Getting a defense down on the Old Man Logan will be very helpful too. Remember that we do have arena rules turned on, so Old Man Logan is not gaining speed bar when we hit him. Man, we are just not doing enough damage to get through this North Star. There he goes. About time. And then we turn our attention to this Old Man Logan. If he starts getting that ball rolling, it will be bad news. So hopefully we can get through him. And there you go. So again, if you're on a, newer account, you just started out, that Old Man Logan, he can get spinning. Now it's salvageable with Endgame Thanos, Gorr, and Gladiator, but it's gonna take a little bit more to get through the node. Luckily, again, we don't need to go through this node clean if you're following the difficulty we're proposing in this guide. All right, // and there you go. That's gonna be it for the Annihilator node, and now we just have one more node, and then we're done. All right, somebody brought up a good point in chat. Illuminated Dark says, if you don't build up ultimates for DD7 anymore, who would you suggest? That's a good point. I forgot about DD7. I actually would still build up ultimates just because it's going to make that node a little bit easier. And as a new stat character, you'll find some plug-and-play use for him, even in kind of that mid-build range. So I would still do him over, say, Kestrel all the way, or Doom, especially if you don't have Red Stars. Anyway, just wanted to get that out there. This is our final node, guys. This is going to be the global villain node. Now, in the beginning, we used Cabal. We ended up using, I forget who our other character was. I believe it was Apocalypse. We used Emma Frost, and we used Cabal with Apocalypse. We got all of our cooldowns back up because of that leader ultimate, and that's still just going to be perfectly fine. You built these guys up for Old Man Logan, so might as well get the double dip value from them and get it done here as well. And there's not much to talk about in this node. It just comes down to spam all your abilities. Spammy, spammy, spammy. Let's see, who's going to go first here? Apocalypse got his speed up. He doesn't have any abilities. That's okay. If he gets even one crit, which he just did, he'll send the Cabal members off to the races. Which he absolutely does. Some good buff flips. There she goes. I won't even use that ultimate yet. Let's just get some extra damage instead. All right, let's give everybody slow. Not enough vulnerables to hit, but whatever. We'll throw the ult just for the damage like we did earlier. Again, we're just whiffing abilities. And away we go. Now, I don't think I actually used Cabal when I had to reclimb through after losing on the Merc node. So I do have, like, the leader ultimate ready to go again. I won't use it because, I mean, you wouldn't have it up if you used them on the first node. But you'll see it doesn't really matter. We're just going to kind of be fine. Get some slows out there. Get as much damage as you can. We'll focus up the Morgan as soon as possible. And now that she's gone, it's pretty much clear from here. Orcus 100% does work. Yeah, we talked about this earlier in the video. The reason we're not showing Orcus here is in case people want to not build them if they haven't already when it comes to the new raid and how it looks like Orcus, not looks like, they will be getting replaced in this raid tier. So if you're trying to avoid Orcus for that reason, Cabal works, but Orcus is absolutely easier. Absolutely easier. They get a lot of energy back as well. This section is really easy. The hard sections are obviously going to be your Illuminati section, your Merc section, and your Annihilator section. The Brawler section, the Global Villain section were made a lot easier. And here you go, guys. Obviously, I'm going to have a much higher score than I need to have because I turned on all the health packs just to show you guys. but turn those health packs off, have yourself some time, get that Shadow King unlocked. He is an amazing character. We talked about all the reasons why you should want Shadow King unlocked, and he's also really good in the Professor X saga for that cosmic villain. Being a rare mutant character, that's worth it. He's got that power, he's got that value, so get your Shadow King unlocked, get it maxed out. Hope this video helped you. If it did, make sure you leave a like, share with friends, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye for now. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.